What's up, guys? Hope you all are having a blessed day today. And I've been, kind of thinking about this topic a lot lately because I honestly don't think I realized how much it has controlled my life personally until last year. And if you would have asked me growing up what kind of person I really wanted to be, I would have said, I just want to be a good person. I want to be a good guy. I wanted people to know they could count on me. And I wanted to help people. I wanted people to like me. And for a long time, I thought those were kind of the same thing. I thought being a Christian meant kind of saying yes all the time, putting everybody else first, never trying to disappoint anyone, and never trying to upset anyone either, always just being available, and always trying to kind of fix and control everything. But eventually, I realized I wasn't just trying to really love people, I was just terrified of losing them. And those are two completely different things. And looking back now, I can see people pleasing was quietly controlling almost every area of my life. It controlled my relationships, it controlled my career, it controlled also my confidence. And it even controlled my relationship with God because instead of kind of asking, God, what do you want from me? I was constantly just asking, what does everyone else want from me? And that question almost cost me everything. So today, I just want to talk about people pleasing, and not because I think being kind is wrong in any way, but because I think a lot of us confuse kindness with also self sacrifice in ways God never really asked us to. So I think for me, this started way earlier than I kind of realized. I've shared before that I moved around a lot growing up, a lot of different schools and different friend groups, and always kind of being kind of the new kid. And when you constantly have to kind of start over every time, you start believing that if people don't like you, they'll leave. So without even like realizing it, I started becoming whoever I thought people wanted me to be, and I became very agreeable. I avoided a lot of conflict. I apologized for things that weren't even my fault. And I would rather make myself uncomfortable than make someone else feel uncomfortable. And I thought that made me loving. But really it just came from insecurity. And because if my identity depends on people accepting me, then every disagreement feels like a rejection. And I think a lot of people struggle with that without even kind of realizing it. One of the biggest places this kind of showed up was in my past relationship. And looking back, there were things I knew weren't right in it. There were moments where I felt God telling me, this isn't where I want you right now. There was even a time, we broke up for about a week. And one of my friends told me, pray about it, see if it's the right decision, see what God wants. So I did. And I really felt like God was saying, don't go back. But, as one does, I ignored it. Why? Because I wasn't ready to surrender to God. I was surrendering to fear, and fear of being alone, and fear of disappointing somebody, and also just the fear of knowing I maybe hurt them. And I just didn't want to start over, so I stayed. And not because I believed it was right anymore, but because I didn't want to make someone unhappy. And that's what people pleasing really does. It convinces you that making everyone else comfortable is more important than obeying God in the long run. And so I've seen the same thing happen at work. There's one coworker who's honestly, I feel like one of the hardest working people I've ever met. And he will stay late, do other people's jobs, and just take on responsibilities that aren't even, his. And everybody just praises him, but privately, he's exhausted. And one day he told me, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. And I just remember thinking, nobody is forcing you to carry all of this. You've just convinced yourself that your value comes from how useful you are in the workplace. And then I realized I've done the exact same thing. I can't be judging him. People pleasing often looks responsible. It looks generous. It looks selfless, until it starts really destroying your peace. And so one verse that really changed how I view, people pleasing is Galatians 1:10. For I am now seeking the approval of a man or of God. If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. That verse really hit me hard because Paul is basically saying there, eventually you're going to have to choose. You cannot spend your whole life chasing everyone's approval all the time and fully follow Christ at the same time with that. Because sometimes obedience to God disappoints people. And Jesus himself disappointed people. People, walked away from him. Religious leaders hated him. And crowds even turned against him. And yet, he never changed his mission to make people comfortable. He loved people deeply, but he never let people also control him either. That's the big difference there. This was probably the hardest lesson for me personally. Love tells the truth. People-pleasing avoids it. Love sets boundaries. People-pleasing feels guilty for even having them. And love serves freely, but people-pleasing serves to earn acceptance. Love is rooted in identity. People-pleasing is rooted in insecurity. Those are not the same thing. One thing God has really also been teaching me just in this past year too is accountability. That's been a big thing for me. I had to stop blaming everybody else for my problems. I had to ask myself, why am I doing this? Am I helping because I genuinely love this person and want to help them, or because I need them to like me? And that's a very uncomfortable question, right? Because it's one that definitely changed my life, because once your identity starts coming from Christ, people's opinions lose their power. And that doesn't mean criticism won't ever hurt. It still very much does, but it no longer defines you at the end of the day. And so if you're someone who struggles with people pleasing right now, here are, I feel like, a few things that have really just helped me personally. The first is learning to pause before saying yes. Not every request needs an immediate answer. Second, ask yourself, would I still do this if nobody ever thanked me for it? If the answer is no, it might be approval you're looking for, not actually looking to help somebody. Third, learn to be okay disappointing people. And that sounds harsh, right? But healthy people can handle healthy boundaries. And finally, remember that obedience to God will sometimes cost you human approval. That's just kind of the burden at the end of the day. And that's okay, because God's opinion has to matter more than everyone else's. I still struggle with this, and I am 100% not perfect. There are still moments where I overthink conversations all the time. I wonder if someone is upset with me or if I'm reading into it. I want everybody to like me, but I'm slowly learning something, that peace doesn't come from making everyone happy. It's impossible to make everyone happy. Peace comes from knowing you're walking with God. And that's enough. If this video helped you today, I would love for you to please leave a comment below. And I'd love to hear if you've ever struggled with people pleasing and kind of like the boundaries that you have set for yourself. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to post videos every week about faith, mental health, healing, and what God has been kind of teaching me through this season of my life. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and God bless you. And on the road to 1,000 subs, so hopefully we can get there soon. But yeah, you guys have a blessed day.